Okay, so in the last video you saw me put the Tarox pads in the front of this Alfa Romeo. Today we're going to be putting these EBC YellowStuff pads in and see how they compare to both the Tarox pads and to stock. If you didn't see the last video, the whole reason for this is because the brakes feel awful on this as standard. So some people said that if you change the pads, that helps. These Tarox ones were definitely an improvement. Although I will say after driving it for a couple of weeks and doing about 1,000 miles with them on, or maybe 800 miles, I will say I'm noticing less of an improvement now. Like the pedals still feels pretty shit now. Whereas when I first put them in, it seemed like it was quite a big improvement at like medium to high speed braking. But now it feels kind of like it did before. Either that or I'm just getting used to it. Yeah, we're going to swap out these for the EBC ones like I mentioned. And because I've already done a video on this, I'm not going to go through how to change the pads in detail. I'll just point out a couple of differences between these and the Tarox ones. And we'll just speed run installing the brake pads and see how quickly I can do it, I guess. But yeah, a couple of things to point out to start with. Compared to the Tarox ones, these have the anti-squeal shims built in to start with. You don't have to glue them on yourself, which is nice. And then they also provide a little informational thing that just tells you exactly how to bed them in and everything, which I don't think the Tarox ones did have anything like that. So far, thumbs up for the EBC ones, but these did take like a month and a half to arrive and the customer service was a bit shit. Whereas the Tarox ones, they replied straight away and they sent the pads out the very next day, so they're winning on that front so far. But the most important thing is how they actually drive. So we'll get these in and yeah, see how they are. So like I said, I'm going to kind of speed run this. I'm not going to go through it in detail. If you want to see exactly how to change the pads, the last video goes through that in detail. This time we'll just see how quickly we can do it. Cut this little tie wrap off, whip that little bolt out. Tap these pins out, wiggle the rest of it out, try not to get hit in the face by that when it springs off, jimmy this out of its little hole, just brute force it short. See how easily these come out, pretty easily, that's nice. Put some slime on the back of these, see if he will go in now. Oh, he does, what a little dream. Hopefully he goes in now, he does. Put the pins back in, oh, except we need the little springy lad. Hammer him back in. He's hammered as fuck. It's so close. There we go, it's in. Tap him home. Torque this little lad up in the back. Cool. This is probably the most awkward bit of the thing, is just getting this fucking cable into here. I just tend to use the same punch that I used for that. I'm just gonna press it in, but it doesn't feel very nice. It feels like you might split the cables. Cable tie. If you think cable tie is kind of dodgy, that is actually how it is standard. Like the stock wire is just cable tied to this. So nothing wrong with a good old cable tie. Snip him off. Cool, we're done. No, we're not. Fuck, this pad slipped down and I didn't actually put the pin through it. How did I not notice that? I was too focused on getting the pin through this bit of the caliper. Not the end of the world. Just means we've got to back these two pins out. Right, let's try that again. Actually with a pad in place, that would be a good idea. What a stupid mistake to make. I don't think I've ever done that before. I've changed so many pads that are just like this exact same setup. Cool, now we're done. That was a stupid mistake to make, but whatever. Give it a quick wipe for the gram, you know. Does it look any better? Not really, whatever. Right, wheel back on, and then we're done. This is why I love having wheel studs. Makes this so much easier on your own. You don't have to line the wheel up perfectly with the bolt holes while you're trying to hold the weight of it and then get the bolt in. You can only just reach the bolt into the threads normally as well. It's really awkward. Whereas this, it just hangs on its own. Done. Let's go see what they feel like. Alright, so it's been about 2 months since the last bit of footage that you saw, time flies, and since then I've done about another 1,000 miles of road driving with these pads on, and then I've also done a track day, which you might have seen. It was the very last video if you've not seen that. That's probably a good one to watch if you want to know about these brakes as well, how they handled the track day. But I should say before the track day, literally the day before, I did put the rear pads in, so the EBC YellowStuff pads for the rear. And yeah, then I've done another probably like 300 or 400 miles of driving on the road since then with them in. So I'll give you my impressions. Obviously the track stuff is covered in the track day video, but on track they were really good, to give you a spoiler alert. So yeah, they were really good on track. After the initial bit of sort of bedding in and warming up, they were fine after that. And speaking of like the initial sort of bedding and the initial coating that the pads have on them, because you'll notice the surface is like a weird red colour, it's got a special coating on. I don't actually know what that's for. I assume it's to just stop them going like rusty when they're sat on the shelf or something. I don't know, maybe someone can correct me. I've never looked into why pads have like a special coating on them from the factory, but they do. Or maybe it's just to help bed them in with the discs, actually. I think that's probably what it is. Anyway, someone will correct me in the comments. But yeah, regardless of what the reason is, they have a special coating on them, which I think makes them a lot sharper until you wear that coating off. So what I found with both the Tarox pads that I had before this and these EBCs is that when you first put them in, they feel amazingly sharp, and that's what I wanted, because the pedal in this car feels really firm right from the very first like 10% of pressing it. Unlike most cars, because it's brake-by-wire, it's just calibrated to just be really stiff even when you're not actually braking much, which I don't like. So I wanted some pretty sharp pads to kind of match up with the pedal better, because I don't really mind having sharp like pedal and brakes in general, but the problem I have is that the pedal doesn't match what's actually happening. You feel a lot of resistance with the pedal when you're not really actually slowing down much, which doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I wanted some really sharp like initial bite to match what the pedal feels like. And yeah, the Tarox pads, when I first put them in, they felt a bit like that. And then these EBC pads, when I first put them in, they felt even more like that. I was like, yeah, this is perfect. They're really sharp. And then when you really stamp on them as well, they worked well as well. So I thought that was ideal. But after bedding them in for a bit on the road, and then especially after the track day as well, the initial bite has definitely worn off a bit. And now they feel, I'm not going to say the same as stock, because it's been like 3 months now since I had stock pads. I can't remember exactly what they were like. I think there's still an improvement over stock, just in terms of the initial bite. They're definitely an improvement over stock, and I would say an improvement over the Tarox ones in terms of like when you really get on the brakes. Like I said, on the track day, they were amazing. So like, they didn't fade at all. They were really sharp. I had a lot of confidence in them for like especially how heavy this car is. Which, by the way, I weighed it the other day. And I weighed Jez's Alfa as well, which is the same model but just slightly earlier, and they were both, I can't remember now, I'll find the picture and flash it up, but I think they were both just over 1,700 kilograms. His has got bigger wheels and lowering springs and stuff, but they were both like within a couple of kilograms of each other. So yeah, that's kind of all there is to say about the brake pads, really. I would definitely recommend them like 100% if you're going to do track days, because like I said before in the track video, there was a guy there in the same car with stock brakes, and he was having a lot of problems with the brakes. So when I say problems, I mean like they were fading, the pedal was going spongy and all that stuff, which I know can be the fluid. But with a brake-by-wire system, I really didn't think the pedal would go spongy, because the brake pedal isn't connected to the brakes, so that's interesting. But yeah, he definitely did have some problems, and I didn't, so I think they're definitely worth it for the track. It's not like there's any trade-off either. Like I don't find them to be bad on the road at all. Like I say, if anything, they're better than stock on the road, especially when you really stamp on them. That's the thing. Like the stock ones, aside from just the annoying pedal not matching the actual braking, what I found with the stock ones was even when you like really press the pedal quite hard, it didn't feel like it was slowing down that well. Whereas these, like, it's shocking how well it slows down if you really stamp on it. That's what I was really impressed by on the track once the initial coating and everything had been worn off. They were like, yeah, it was impressive how well you could stop a car this heavy. I know it's not like it's not done weigh 3 tons or something. It's not like we're driving around in a Hummer, but even so, like getting out of a Cayman GT4, which is what I had before this. To be fair, I never weighed that, but I'm sure they weigh a lot less than these. I mean, it's a 2-seater, and it's small, and it's like built for the track kind of thing. This is the opposite of that. So yeah, I was expecting the brakes to really let it down, but yeah, with those pads it was great. So yeah, I think that kind of concludes the brake review. There's not that much you can say about brakes, really, is there? I've probably dragged this out too long as it is already. I'm sorry I didn't film the rears, by the way. I am going to do that on a separate channel. I'll explain that later. That probably sounds weird now. But yeah, I'm going to do like a lot of like how-to guides and stuff like that on a separate channel, where I'll also be showcasing and explaining about parts that I'm making for this car. So I just feel like that it doesn't really fit on this channel. It would kind of fit on this channel, but let's be honest, this channel is mostly just me swearing and dicking about and drifting and being a knobhead. which is not very professional, really, is it? If you're trying to like sell parts to people, so we'll start a new channel that actually has some professionalism to it. And yeah, I'll cover that in a whole separate video. But like I said, that'll pretty much do for this video. Quick summary would be EBC YellowStuff pads are my favourite out of the 3 that I've tried so far, which is stock, EBC and Tarox. Great on the track, decent on the road. They don't quite like fix the initial problem I was trying to fix, but they're definitely an improvement. And when you really stamp on it, they're a big improvement. So yeah, there's no downside. They're not even expensive either. I remember the guy at the track day asked me to send him a link to the pads, because obviously mine were fine on the track and his weren't. And I sent him the link and he was like, "Are you sure these are the right ones? Because like they're really cheap." I was like, "Yeah, I mean, not everything for an Alfa Romeo has to cost an absolute fortune." Which is another reason that I'm going to start making parts for this car, because Jesus Christ, some of the aftermarket parts for this car are ridiculously priced just because it's an Alfa Romeo. So yeah, we're gonna fix that. But yeah, that'll do. I'll see you in the next one, which will hopefully be a 370 video. I know you forgot I even had that thing, but I actually started making some more bits of the exhaust for it the other day. I'll flash up a picture, some progress that I made of the downpipes that come out of the turbo and go up into the bonnet. So yeah, I'll try to get some more of that done and make a video on that, and I'll see you there.